everyone, and welcome to Jack and Cat Adventures. Today we're going to throw a pork roast in the crock pot and just set it and forget it. This is the easiest recipe you can do if you work or you have a big crowd coming. So it's all flavors that you want to put in. I'm just giving you kind of a reference on what to do, and you can fly with it. So what I did was I chopped up a couple cloves of garlic, and I am taking a little paring knife, and I'm just putting slits in it. And then you're going to put your garlic all over the roast. But you want to end up with the fat side up so that your meat doesn't dry out. All that fat while it's cooking will go right back into the meat, and it'll make it delicious. I have here a pork shoulder blade roast with bone in. This is the kind that you shred for like pulled pork or things like that. It also says great for crock pots on the packaging, so you'll know what to get. If you get one without a bone, that's fine. Just know it's going to be a little bit drier, and it won't shred. You will have to slice that. If you have any more garlic left over, like I have a few pieces, just throw it in. So now what I'm going to add is a can of beefy mushroom. Now I usually do French onion. I don't have it. So I'm just going to pour this all over the roast. And then I'm going to add some Lipton onion soup mix. You can use any brand, any flavor you want. Just pour that all over your roast. This will make a delicious gravy when this roast is done. Just going to pour it all over. Doesn't really matter. And then because you don't have a lot of moisture in there, you're going to have to add some beef broth. And this is kind of up to you, how big your roast is, all that. You want it to come up about maybe 2 inches into your roast, I would say. Just about that much. Remember, you're going to be making gravy with this, so put enough in, and then, you know, it'll the moisture from the meat will add to all this flavor. So I think that's good. Come on in and take a look at how much. You don't want to over pour your liquid, because then you'll be like braising this kind of instead of like cooking it. Okay, so then what you could do at this point, you could put in fresh mushrooms, fresh onions, whatever you want. I don't do anything. I just do this because once this is done, I'm going to put it over homemade Spaetzels. And you don't need vegetables when you have homemade Spaetzels. So this is going to cook on high for 6 to 8 hours. And we'll check back with you when it's almost done. So our pork that's in our crock pot is almost done. So let's start on the Spaetzels. In a mixing bowl, you're going to need 4 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of salt, and a pinch of pepper. In another bowl, you're going to need 8 large eggs and 3/4 cups of milk, and you're going to mix that together. Now, turn this on low and just kind of mix in the stuff that you have. Let me get a clean towel here so I don't go all over. And what we're going to do is we're going to start adding this in. And you can just pour it all at one time. Okay. Now let's just do this real slow. Just a little flour's going all over, it doesn't really matter. It happens. Once this starts coming into a dough, you're going to mix it until it becomes foamy. So when this becomes foamy, I'll give that to you. Alright, so while this is beating and becoming, we want to see bubbles in it, you need to get your pot ready to start cooking these in. So you're going to need a pretty big pot. I have a pot with a strainer in it, which is excellent, but if you don't, you can use any stock pot you have, put your water in, turn it up to high, get it a rolling boil, put some salt in it, turn it down to a simmer. You're going to only want to simmer these once they go in. Alright, so I let this beat about 10 minutes. You can see how airy and light this is. It's beautiful. So you don't want your batter too thick or too thin. I would say maybe just a little bit thicker than your pancakes. You'll see right away when you start putting your spaetzels in. Now this is a spaetzel maker, it comes apart. And what you do is you put it together like this, and you're going to put your dough in here, and you're going to go back and forth on your pan. Now if you don't have one of these, you can use like a large hold sieve or a colander that has a little bit bigger holes in it that is sturdy enough that you can push hard through it. This is not like a really soft dough. You gotta push if you're gonna be going through something like that. With this, it's easier because it just falls through the holes. And you can get these at any kitchen store. I think Walmart and Target has them, and I'm positive Amazon has them. I've had this for so long I don't remember where I got it from. So I'm just waiting for my water to come up to a boil, and as soon as that happens, we'll start on the spaetzels. Okay, so here's our spaetzel maker, and all you do is put it on your pan like this. It has a little lip that'll hold it, but you really need to hold onto it yourself too. Then you're going to put your white holder, this is going to hold your batter in. Now you're just going to slowly pour your batter in. And it gets a little difficult sometimes if you're working in, like I am, in just a little bit of room. But we'll get it. So just fill this up to the top. Like that. Just kind of break it off. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go back and forth. Slowly back and forth. And there's your spaetzels are dropping out to the bottom. Now my water is really rapidly boiling. I'm going to turn it down to a simmer here in a second. And once you get enough in your pan that's full, just wait and do another batch. Now I have a really big pot here, so I can do a lot in a couple of batches without having to wait in between. Let me turn that down just a little bit. I would turn it down to about 7.5. And I'm going to add some more of this. And these do not take long to cook. Once they start floating up to the top, that means they're going to be done. Now as you can see, my dough is not too thin, it's not too thick, it's going through these holes perfectly. That's what you want. You shouldn't have to be struggling to get it through the holes. It should be a nice firm grip here and smooth going down and coming back up. Okay, so our spaetzels are done. They all floated to the top and they look delicious. So now what we're going to do is we're going to gently take them out of the pot. And I just find this pot easier because I could drain everything in it. Now, once you get these out, you're going to pour them into a strainer and rinse them. And then I'll show you what we're going to do next. Alright, so now our spaetzels are rinsed. And in this pan, I just put some butter. And I melted it and I started to get it just to the brown stage. Don't get it any further, you'll burn it. Then you're going to put some of your spaetzels in. And this is going to brown them so they have a little bit more of a bite to go along with your meats. And I'm going to do this in batches because I like mine to be really brown on the bottoms. Alright, so I just have let these brown approximately 5 to 7 minutes. Now as you can see, they're getting nice and brown. Don't burn them. Just make them nice and brown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into a bowl. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this back up. And I'm just going to add more butter because the butter is what's going to give it that really nice nutty flavor. Okay, so now I just want it to get a light brown. Just keep moving it around in the pan. And you cannot go wrong with the butter. You can't over add butter on Spaetzels. They just taste delicious with butter. So I'm just going to let this cook a little bit. I'm going to keep messing it around like this with my spatula. And I'm just going to get it to the light brown stage. And then we're going to throw in the rest of our Spaetzels. And then we'll finish up the meal. Alright, so our pork roast is done. And I am just starting to shred it. I just pulled it out of the crock pot and I just started shredding it. I poured the juice that was left over from this meat into a pan, and I am going to add some cornstarch and water, and I'm just going to thicken it up a little bit so that way it's nice and thick to go over our Spaetzels. So let's get this done and then we'll move on to our gravy. Alright, so now I have my gravy that was left from my roast that was in my crock pot, and I brought it up to a boil. It's a little bit hot. Let's just take it off for a second. And in here I have 1 cup of cold water and 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. You're going to add it slowly to this mixture. Just keep mixing it around. And what you're going to do is keep mixing it until it becomes the desired thickness that you like, or the brownness that you like. It depends on what you like on your gravy, what kind of gravy you like. So this should take probably about 5 to 8 minutes to really come together. And once it comes together, I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so now our gravy's done. It's nice and thick. It's beautiful. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a bowl. You're going to put some Spaetzels in the bottom of it. Then you're going to put some meat on top. Now remember, I shredded all this meat, and if you have leftovers, you can make barbecued pork with it. So nothing will go to waste here. And then you put your gravy on. And people like a lot of gravy. Okay, that's it. That's your meal. So please try this recipe, and if you do, let me know how you like it or what I can change. Please like, comment, subscribe, and remember, you do you.